Hey everyone, excited to be back for this week's edition of Frequently Asked Questions for Commercial Real Estate. In today's video, what I want to do is talk about a concept that I discuss in my latest book, Before You Buy That Building, a book that I will be releasing here shortly. And that concept is negotiating a purchase contract for commercial real estate. Now, this is going to be a helpful video for you if you are, on the buy side of commercial real estate, whether you're an agent or someone who's actually looking to purchase commercial property. Hopefully in this video, you'll learn some strategies that you can employ to potentially negotiate favorable terms for you as you look to purchase commercial real estate. But before you dive in this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you can like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and ensures more and more people can hear this message and learn about the many facets of commercial real estate. So now that you've done that, go ahead and like and subscribe below. Let's go ahead and dive right into this episode. All right, so first off, I wrote this book, Before You Buy That Building, because I noticed that as I was helping my clients try to acquire commercial property, there was a lot of information and understanding of the process that just wasn't there. And so that was the reason why I decided to write this book. And in today's video, we're going to highlight one of the sections, which is negotiating the purchase contract. When you think of all the different nuances and potential strategies that you can employ to maximize, the terms or get the best terms possible as far as your purchase contract, they always say that the best strategies are the simplest. So today I'm going to highlight the three most important, in my opinion, to help you get to the finish line as far as negotiating a favorable term. So first and foremost, I think the most important strategy pertaining to negotiating a commercial purchase contract is putting yourself in the other person's shoes and understanding what the motivation of the other party is. In this case, it's the seller. So, typically what I first start out by doing is if it's a property that's listed, I usually call a listing agent and have a conversation and try to see what I can uncover as far as motivation is concerned. A lot of situations when people sell commercial property, it's either that they're retiring, they've been in business for many years and now they're retiring and they're wanting to sell their property and then move or go do something else with the rest of their life. Maybe it's an estate sale, meaning that the property was owned by their parents and now, it's passed on to them. And many of them don't have a desire to continue to manage or operate the business or the property. There could be situations where they're behind on mortgage payments or there's, delinquencies as far as taxes are concerned. So all this information is the type of, was what I try to uncover as far as conversations are concerned. And I try to be pretty nuanced about it, not necessarily just overtly asking these types of situations, but just by having conversations about, why is the owner selling? What's the timeline that the owner's wanting to, have this property sold by, all these different types of questions you can ask to try to get an understanding of motivation of the seller. Along with that, the condition of the property is going to indicate a lot of things about the individual, because in a situation where there's a lot of deferred maintenance or there's other issues with the property that have not been addressed for quite some time, you can understand that the seller is either A, unmotivated to make those fixes, or B, just doesn't have the resources in order to do so. So based on your conversations with the parties involved, you can get a feel for what exactly that is. And if so, you can use that as justification to try to negotiate more favorable terms as far as the purchase agreement is concerned. Now, in a lot of situations as well, the second piece of advice that I would share is that you need to be willing to compromise in some capacity. Negotiation is about a give and take, in my opinion. And, if you are so set in your ways that you say, this is what I can do and that's that, and you have no wiggle room, a lot of times negotiations fall apart because the other party wants to feel like they've won a little bit, right? So even if you have to go a little bit lower than what your absolute, drop dead price is, that may be more favorable to you, so you can give a little bit so that the other party feels like they've made headway within the negotiation as well. And taking the my way or the highway approach almost never works out. And what I often see people fail to understand is the opportunity cost of waiting. So if you're in the situation where you're looking to buy a building to operate your business out of, and you lose that opportunity, how long is it going to take you to now find another building that you could potentially operate out of? It could take 6 months, a year, maybe even more. And how much is that ultimately going to cost your business? So even if you have to, give up a little bit on the front end, it may very well be worth your time. So that's number 2, is to be willing to compromise. And then finally, when you go under contract for a property, you're going to go through a process of performing due diligence. Now, there may be situations where, surprises come up. Maybe there's something that you just couldn't have known about the property that obviously impacts your ability to ultimately close on the property, or maybe even request additional, concessions from the seller. But in situations where, small things come up that you yourself probably were aware of, and then you try to renegotiate with the seller, that obviously doesn't usually work very well. It's a term called retrading. Retrading, in my opinion, should only occur in situations where it was a blatantly obvious, or not necessarily blatantly obvious, but it was not obvious. It's a latent defect that was uncovered during the due diligence process. In those situations, it may be wise to consider going back and trying to either A, renegotiate, and if it's bad enough, being able to back out of the contract. But if it's something that's small, like obvious deferred maintenance that you saw as you're walking through the property with your contractor and everything else, and now you try to come back in the middle of the contract to renegotiate, that's done in bad taste and bad faith. And a lot of times, it ends up costing you an opportunity. And so, that would be my third piece of advice, is to try to avoid retrading unless it's something that is obviously just crippling as far as the deal is concerned. So hopefully you gained some value from this video. Hopefully now you can utilize this information to go out and negotiate a favorable purchase contract for yourselves. If you guys don't mind, go ahead and check out my book, Before You Buy That Building. It will be released here shortly. And by the time you probably watch this video, it will be released on Amazon. So feel free to go and grab a copy. If you like this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you can like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. It ensures more and more people can hear this message and learn about the many facets of commercial real estate. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.